Why most people fail to build muscle. Hard truths. When I say fail to build muscle, anyone can build a little bit of muscle, but fail to build a lot of muscle, like a substantial amount of muscle where it's like, okay, cool, this guy goes to gym. Number one, overtraining. Back in my day, it used to always be, you get in what you put in. So you train more and you get more muscle. You train more, you're gonna get bigger. Not true. If you overtrain, you can actually make yourself grow slower. The first set you do will give you this much stimulus and muscle growth, and then the second set is like this much, and then third set like this. It's diminishing returns, which basically means after a while there's no point. The whole thing is, we want to stimulate muscle growth, but we don't want fatigue, because fatigue is what sets us back from training. If you never got fatigued, you would be Deadpool. You just recover instantly. You could just train, and you would just get bigger. The more you train, the bigger you'd get. But that's not real life. Overtraining, don't do it. How can we make sure we don't overtrain? If you're getting stupidly sore constantly, right? When you start out the gym, you're gonna get sore, like it's just how it works. But if you're always sore constantly and like a stupid level of soreness and you don't recover in the time for the next time you need to train, lower your sets. Do less in your workouts. Well, how else can we, make sure we don't overtrain? Sleep and eating protein and having carbs and having enough food so that we can actually recover, and enough sleep so that we can recover, stuff like that. People that overtrain think, if I train more, I'm going to get bigger. It's just how it works. No. An hour and a half a day, 5 or 6 times a week. Maybe an hour. You stimulate as much growth as you can. When you start getting too much fatigue, you're gone. On my chest days, I will do 5 or 6 sets max. On biceps, I'll do like 3 or 4 sets. I train biceps twice a week. There's no point in overdoing it. Number 2, no progressive overload. If you're lifting the same weights, your body has no reason to grow. There is nothing to adapt to. Your body will only grow muscle because it needs to adapt to a certain stimulus. Or something like, or like it needs to adapt to actually be able to lift the weight you're trying to lift. So grow muscle. You have to push it. This is why you need to go to failure if you want to really maximize like muscle growth. You have to actually go to failure, because then that sends a signal to your body going, oh fuck, we actually have to do something. We have to change something. We have to get stronger. We have to get bigger. If you're not trying to progress, you will just stay with the same amount of muscle that you have, because there's no reason for your body to grow more, because your body can grow what it can grow. Another thing, your body is really smart. It gets efficient at doing movements. So when you get really used to movements and you really know how to do it, you will find your body, you have the form, your form's on point, it's perfect. The synaptic signals or whatever in your brain have strengthened. The synaptic bridges were strengthened, right? So basically that means that it can send the signal to your muscles better, easier, quicker, which builds over time. Like the more you use the synaptic bridge, the more it gets thicker and it goes. That's why black cab taxi drivers have more mass in their amygdala. I'm not sure, you're gonna have to double check me on that one, because they kept using that part of their brain for memory, to remember like where the stuff is, where the locations are. They're not allowed to use maps, which basically strengthened it and literally physically showed you that it strengthens, right? And there's more mass there. Anyway, you have to lift heavier, basically. You have to lift heavier, or you have to do more sets, or you have to have more time under tension. It has to be harder so that you can progress, right? If it's not harder, there's no reason for your body to progress. You're not going to progress. You'll just stay the same. And what's the point in staying the same when we could just get bigger? Poor sleep and recovery. I've already gone into this because it goes into the overtraining. But if you have poor sleep and recovery, you're not going to recover. The worse you recover, the worse your sessions are going to be, right? So if you're not recovering properly, you can only give your sessions, you'll feel like it's 100%, but you can only give your sessions like 70%, 60%, 50%, depending on like how sleep deprived and stuff like that you are and how much you've eaten. You only being able to give less of what you have, right, means you're not going to be able to lift as heavy, which then again means you're not going to be able to stimulate growth, which means you don't grow muscle. If you're not taking your recovery seriously, which is like literally, recovery is probably like 40%, you're just doing yourself a disservice. You're basically just shooting yourself in the foot. You train really hard and then you eat well and then you don't sleep. Another thing is, if you don't sleep properly, guess what happens? As a man, your testosterone will drop. A lot of people that are like hella sleep deprived, their natural testosterone will halve. So if you're one of those people that isn't sleeping properly, you need to get that under control. That is basically what I'm trying to say. You have to get it under control, because you're doing yourself a disservice. You're putting in all this effort, you're meal prepping, and you don't sleep properly. It's not great. Those are going to be the main reasons of why people fail to build muscle. Another one is just not training hard enough, which is rare because these days everyone kind of trains decently hard. But if you're not going to failure, like mechanical failure, I don't care that you're like, people do a set, right? You're doing shoulder press and you're trying to go up, and then it's like, oh, it's burning. The muscles are burning and it hurts, so I'm going to stop. If you need to reach mechanical failure, which means the muscle just physically gives up basically and says, we can't do anymore. So that's you trying to lift and you're sending as many signals as you can. It doesn't matter if it's burning or it's not burning or what's going on, and it's not going up. That's failure. Because it burns and it hurts and you feel like it hurts and it's burning and you decide to stop, that's not failure. You're not stimulating as much muscle growth as you could be if you just went to failure. Another thing is doing way too many warm-up sets. You do not need 20 warm-up sets for bench. Once you're warm, you go to max. Done. If that means you need 2 sets or you need 4 sets, great. But once you're warm, you go for your max. There's no point. When I say your max, I don't mean like your max for 1 rep, your max working set. So my max working set for bench, let's say is 100, right? Then I'll probably start with 30. Then I'll go to like 40. Then I might jump to 60. Then I might jump to like 80. And then boom, I'll do my max, right? Once you're warm, you go. You don't need 20 sets. Maybe for your first exercise, you do like 6 warm-up sets, 5 warm-up sets, maybe. But if you use too much of your energy, right? Because you have limited energy, your muscle can only hold so much glycogen, right? If you use your limited energy warming up, what energy are you going to be using when you do your max? So it doesn't make sense, right? Once you're warm, you go for it. You get in and then you get out. That's the whole point. We don't shuffle around doing random shit just because, okay? That's going to be the majority of it, actually. That's about it. Hope you guys enjoyed.